Friends and professionals, we're live. Happy Friday, team. You did it. You did it. You made it. You're there. The grind starts again Monday. Or for some of us, it just never ends. Welcome. Woof. I made several posts about this live stream today. It doesn't mean you're hanging out with me live. I understand. We're busy. It's Friday. Grace. But I wasn't joking when I said that the greatest marketing keynote of 2025 has landed. It's hit. I've got 5 clips to walk you through. But man, this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, slapped. He hit it. He like teed it up, cranked it out of the park. And he did it in the first 5 minutes of his keynote. He broke down the number one changes happening in marketing today at a macro and micro level. When I say macro and micro, please listen to me and hear me on this. I mean, from what companies have to be doing, the Fortune 5,000 companies, Fortune 500 companies, he talks about that. But when you start to listen, it drills it right down to the individual entrepreneur, salesperson, mortgage professional, realtor, insurance, whatever. I mean, it's the gamut. It's the whole thing. It's the playbook. It's the process. It's the consumer behavior change. It's what to do about it and all of it. So we're just going to break it down for about 5 clips. I'm going to queue up 5 clips. We're going to watch them together, and then we're going to discuss it and break it down. And then we're going to get aggressive. We're going to get aggressive because so many of you out there are doing it absolutely wrong, meaning you're either not doing anything, you don't understand the changes that are happening. And then when you look up, after you watch this, when you look up and see all these corporations out there, all the mega players, you're going to be like, oh, wow, they're doing it wrong immediately. They don't understand consumer behavior trends. They're not paying attention. They're locked in to their old ways of doing things. I'm approving stuff right now on the side. And they're falling behind. And he's calling out his own industry. He's calling out creative agencies. He's calling out chief marketing officers. He's calling out corporations. And I'm going to be calling out individuals on this because he's doing the same thing. So pay attention. Let's listen to the first thing he says in the beginning of the keynote.
I believe over the last 70 years of marketing, working media dollars have been used to disguise bad creative. And I believe that we are now living in the era of working media dollars being used to amplify good creative.
I'm playing it again. Listen up.
I believe over the last 70 years of marketing, working media dollars have been used to disguise bad creative. And I believe that we are now living in the era of working media dollars being used to amplify good creative.
Okay, this is his intro line to this statement, but let's just unpack this so you understand what he's really saying. He's talking about how in the past, in the glory days of marketing, people would get together. Chief marketing officers, chief creative officers would get together. They'd sit in a room and they'd say, what should we make today? What's the consumer paying attention to? They'd run surveys, they'd do all this stuff, and then they'd produce content and they'd push it out to the world because of what they think is working. Now, maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, but then what he's relaying, the truth is these massive organizations are spending thousands to millions to billions of dollars on the creative to push its reach out, to sit back and be like, look at my metrics, look at my impressions, look at my reach, look at my connections, look at my BS. It's a bad premise. It's what they did. It doesn't work today. And that's what he's setting up for in this conversation. So let's see as he goes on here.
A lot of people have been in the mindset of paid, owned, earned. And I believe we're actually living in the owned, earned, paid era. And so what that means, if I put it into English for some of the entrepreneurs here or salespeople, very simply put, I believe any Fortune 5,000 company that is not remarkably over-investing in organic social media creative is making a fundamental strategic mistake.
Okay, let's break it down. Owned, earned, and paid. So owned marketing. You as an originator, your owned media are the text messages you can send to past clients. It's the people in your database that you can personally email. They've given you the privilege to be in their life. That's owned. He's not really talking about that. Let's put that to the side for a second. Earned and paid. Earned. You make good stuff. People like it. They watch, they share, they love. Paid is you put money out and you get a result. He's flipping it and describing how the world is changing in social media. And this is so relevant. I mean, if you're a CMO watching, buckle up. If you're an individual creator slash business person slash salesperson, this is hyper relevant because buying space in people's brains is not as valuable as earning it. Does that make sense? And the old media was you make stuff and you pay for it and you get results. It's flipping on its head. Pay attention. It's all about earned. Let's go on.
Because the way we sit today with these 7 social networks is that when you put out creative, they are fully running a model that is based on relevance. And for the people that love the old school marketing books, good news, I agree with you. Relevance creates consideration. Consideration leads to people buying.
I'm going to play this again, but I want you to hear this. The old school model of relevance means people are going to buy is still true. He believes that. I believe that. I hope you believe that. Because that means if you're making great content and you're staying relevant, people are going to want to do business with you. But listen to this again in this frame and really understand this, okay?
Because the way we sit today with these 7 social networks is that when you put out creative, they are fully running a model that is based on relevance. And for the people that love the old school marketing books, good news, I agree with you. Relevance creates consideration. Consideration leads to people buying.
Here's what I don't want you to miss from the first few sentences of that clip. The 7 social media platforms out there, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. The main social media platforms out there today are going to tell you what's relevant and what's not. It does no longer matter how smart a CMO or an individual content creator or salesperson is, because these platforms will tell you what is going to be relevant and what is not based on real-time consumer behavior. So you can sit in a room and come up with the best idea of all time. This is the CMO challenge. You can sit there with your best creatives, best directors, and be like, well, what are we going to make? Well, the world's into goats these days, and come up with whatever you want. What Gary's telling you right now is that that's fine. Do that, but it's not going to matter until the general population sees it through these social media lenses and tells you what's relevant. If you're an individual salesperson, this is like a hallelujah moment, because it doesn't matter that a company is going to spend billions of dollars on a Super Bowl commercial. It's irrelevant. The world will make sure and to tell everybody what's relevant. When you get to play at the highest levels on these platforms, you get to learn faster than these mega corporations, because you get to put and if you are a mega corporation and you're not paying attention to this message, you are absolutely operating in a dead paradigm. If you are not paying attention to these behavioral consumer trends, you are operating in a dead paradigm. 2 more clips. Pay attention.
The first time in marketing history, the creative creates reach. That's insane. And it creates reach based on relevance.
Listen again. Listen again.
The first time in marketing history, the creative creates reach. That's insane. And it creates reach based on relevance.
This has got to be an aha moment for anybody listening, whether you're an individual that's trying to drive more marketing results, a chief creative director, CMO, etc. Your content creative is going to create reach and relevance, not your paid strategy. You're doing it wrong. But how do you find out what's relevant in your creative process? You got to start producing content at scale. I'm going to wrap it up with this last clip, and then we're going to go deep.
There is actually, if I may, with all due respect, 0 reason to spend media dollars amplifying any piece of creative that has not been affirmed with organic reach in 2025, yet 99.9% of the brands represented here and agencies will do such. I don't know what else to say. It's black and white. The VC, the ecosystem of entrepreneurs in here, the companies that are going from 0 to $50 million a year in revenue are only living in a social, organic first framework. And then there's us. I beg our industry, I know the financial reasons we're not doing this. I get it. I get the agency stuff. I get the brand stuff. I get the bullshit reports that justify all our behavior in this industry, from the MMMs and the MMAs and everything else. I get it. But there's not one fucking person in here that has a half a brain that doesn't know that I'm 100% right.
So much in that last clip. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to unpack strategies and tactics you should be doing right now to play in this contemporary age. So, number one, he's talking about the relevancy is in organic social. If you're not playing in organic social at scale, you're going to lose. Period. You can't buy your way through it. You can't buy your way out of it. You got to play in organic social because these platforms are going to tell you what's relevant in real time. Did you hear that? Let me say it again. The best brands, the ones that are going to win, are going to play in organic social at scale across the 7 platforms that exist today, 8 when they continue to create, to find what's relevant and then put their paid resources behind it to double down. But the most corporations are not doing that. They're coming in with their own great ideas and own great concepts, which they're putting money first and they're playing the game backwards. If you are any type of a corporation out there today and you're not doing this at scale, you're going to lose. It's over. You're irrelevant. They don't care. Yes, you can stack up your metrics to the board and be like, look how many views and impressions. You're playing the wrong game. That game ended. It's over. It's gone. Here's what's really cool for you, though. And this is the what it means for you part. You get to play. You get to play at the current contemporary levels, just like any major organization does today. You get to make organic social content at a super high clip frequency as often as you can and play the relevance game just like anybody else. Gary went on, and I didn't include this in the clip, but he made a comment that I want you to listen to and hear right now. He made a comment that it doesn't matter about how many followers you have anymore. He said this a few times before, and it's proof. In fact, on LinkedIn a few days ago, you could see we're talking about this. You could have 0 followers on TikTok, put out a great piece of content and a message, and get more views than Gary Vaynerchuk, who has 500,000 billion people following him on TikTok. Because it's not about the followership anymore on these platforms. It's about the actual quality of the content and its relevance to the people that it's being exposed to. Did you hear me? Not about how many followers you have anymore. If you're out there as a local loan officer and you're like, well, I've never really invested in TikTok. I don't have a community. I don't have connections. It doesn't matter anymore. The platform languages have changed. It's the quality of your creative. Now, I'm going to go on a little tangent here because you need to listen up. When I say quality of creative, immediately somebody is discounting their own ability, being like, well, I don't have an agency to work with. I don't make cool stuff. I don't have flashy graphics and intros and outros and music. Shut up. That is not what quality of creative means. It doesn't mean high production value. It means relevance. Did you hear me in the back? Don't wrap an excuse around this immediately, being like, I need to hire an agency and make really great creative content. No. It's the quality is not about production value. The quality is about relevance. More videos today are going viral and getting massive reach that are literally a selfie style video in a freaking back room or an alley. Yeah. Why? Because its relevance percentage is way higher than its production quality because humans crave that kind of stuff. Real, authentic, relevant connection. Facts. Truth, not humor dancing, not serious analytics, but just authentic to who you are and what you believe. Oh my God, it's the opportunity of the century. And this is why an individual is going to crush corporations right now. You're going to crush the mega brands today because the mega brands don't understand this, can't understand this, are terrified of this because that means they have to produce content at scale that's organic and authentic. And oh my God, that's anything but a major corporation who's wrapped up in fear and insecurity. Because it means you might make a piece of content that nobody likes, that didn't work. How many brands today are willing to play that game? Are they willing to play? Are they going to put out a piece of content that might not work, that someone might not like? Ooh, because then all of a sudden, God forbid, somebody shares it and, now you have to defend it. Too afraid. They're too afraid. And so they make stale, vanilla, crappy content that's that's produced in a think tank with people who think they know the streets and don't. How many CMOs have written loans for customers, do you think, at the top 8 lenders? They written loans? Carlos, my man, good to see you, buddy. This is such an incredible opportunity Because Gary's comment at the very end is all of you 100% know I'm right. And maybe you don't. Maybe you're watching this being like, I don't agree, Alec. The future of marketing isn't organic social content. Okay. See, the great news about whether you agree or disagree with any of this stuff is it's all fleshing out in real time. You can watch it happening and be validated, or in either way you view. If you think it's all hokey and you're like, I'm never going to play in that project, great. And just watch what happens, because you haven't been paying attention if you think this is not the future. I'm going to give you a parallel that I hope you understand. In 2003, when I started originating in the streets of Orange County, I was told that the number of loans I originate is going to be directly proportional to the number of realtors I see and meet face to face every single day. I had a Nokia phone and a BlackBerry. I didn't have access to all of the human knowledge in my pocket. I had MapQuest printouts to find open houses. And I was told, you want to be successful, you go find these agents wherever they're at, open houses, previews, networking events, and you build relationships. And the most successful originators of all time started in that day, did that to win. No successful loan officer in those glory days was out there saying, you know what, I fax rate sheets and I'm winning. I'm in the top of the charts. I go after CPAs and financial planners and divorce attorneys and I'm the best originator. You weren't. You were B level. You did not play at the top because you did not play the right game. Don't care if you liked the game or not. I didn't like realtors. No one cares what you like. That's what drove the results, and that's what the winners did, period. As we're in this 20 years later, 25 years later, as we're in this evolving world today, this is where the winners are going to be playing, period. Now, are the old techniques still relevant? Should you just never talk to agents again? Don't be an idiot. Don't collapse this whole conversation into that. Don't be overly simplistic. It's changing in real time. It doesn't mean it has gone. It doesn't mean the old way of relationship selling with agents is over. Absolutely not. Don't even come at me with that garbage. But to head in the sand and say, well, these other things that are happening, organic social and the prevalence of social media and the expansion of the digital customer, that stuff is irrelevant to me. You're delusional. Pay attention. Wake up. Get after it. Because the future of success for any contemporary salesperson is going to be driven off the backbone of organic social content strategy. That pillar, or origination vertical, or whatever you want to call it, is going to become paramount in the next 3 to 5 years. Period. End of discussion. Pay attention. Can you still go out and meet realtors face to face, belly to belly? You absolutely should, and you need to be doing it every single time you can. Should you be cultivating your past customers and calling and texting and staying in touch and mass emailing? 100%. Are you out of your mind? Keep doing the things that have their relevance cemented in tradition and pay attention to how everything's changing. I did a live last week called AI is going to take your job. And it wasn't that the loan officers using AI are going to take your job. No, AI is just going to take your job because you are no longer relevant to your past customers. They're not thinking of you. They're not calling you. They're not talking to you. That's when AI is going to take your job, because they're just going to use the ChatGPT thing on their phone right there instead of calling you. That's the threat. So what's the opportunity? Organic social content and real human connection. Are we done? Do you get it? I'm going to talk to my fellow marketers, CMOs, chief creative officers, brand managers. Be bold. Be bold on this consumer trend and go all in on organic social content. Go all in on what Gary's talking about. Pay attention to the trends. Play in organic social content across the major 7 social media platforms. Go all in on this modern trend, and then use your money and your big guns and your resources to go double down on the stuff that's working, that is validated through its relevancy on these platforms. That's your strategy. Be bold on this, because if a CEO or a board's like, why are we making content with this guy in the street, or why are we doing this with influencers, or why would you gotta help them become believers, man. This is the future of how the world works. If you're operating the old paradigm of putting out just ads, you're done. You're cooked. Pay attention. Be bold. And I'm going to play this clip for Gary again, because as we kind of wrap up here, because it cements this, because it's scary. Because Gary says it too. He's like, well, I know that it doesn't line up to the metrics, and it doesn't line up to consumer thought, and it doesn't line up to, the playbook. But listen to what he says one more time, and then we'll wrap this up.
There is actually, if I may, with all due respect, zero reason to spend media dollars amplifying any piece of creative that has not been affirmed with organic reach in 2025, yet 99.9% of the brands represented here and agencies will do such. I don't know what else to say. It's black and white. The VC, the ecosystem of entrepreneurs in here, the companies that are going from 0 to $50 million a year in revenue are only living in a social, organic first framework. And then there's us. I beg our industry, I know the financial reasons we're not doing this. I get it. I get the agency stuff. I get the brand stuff. I get the bullshit reports that justify all our behavior in this industry, from the MMMs and the MMAs and everything else. I get it. But there's not one fucking person in here that has a half a brain that doesn't know that I'm 100% right.
If you're a CMO, if you're out there running a brand for a major company, go all in, be bold, be a believer, and convert those around you, because this is the future. If they're not paying attention, they're going to get left behind. And if you're stuck doing the same old stuff, paid media, you're out. It's over. But if you're a local sales professional, if you're a entrepreneur, if you're running your own business, man, do you feel it? That's opportunity. They're afraid. They're not going to play. They're going to be slow. But don't mistake slowness for never adopting. When big brands come in and play this game, they're going to be tough to compete against, because they can produce content faster at more scale with more resources, and they got a bunch of money to deploy right behind it when it starts working and maintaining its relevancy. They're going to come in hard. But for now, they're afraid. They're afraid. Too afraid. They got to report to the board. They got to put up their numbers. We can't make this kind of video. It's not our brand anymore. A consumer will tell you what's relevant. They'll tell you by their views and shares and likes and comments. They don't care. Play the game. So if you're localized and you're a salesperson right now, so my message for all the mortgage originators right now, real estate professionals, insurance salesmen, lawyers, whatever, whoever you are, that your job is to go generate business, go all in. Organic social content. We can talk about paid later. You can pay some money into social content. You can find out what's working relevantly, and you can target your budget that may be more modest, or maybe you've never even thought about it, into specific geographies and triple down. That stuff's all on YouTube. You got this. But it all starts with creating organic social content at scale, producing out information that is helpful and relevant to the people you're trying to influence. Baby, this is it. This is the future. This is the game. And that's why this was the greatest keynote in 5 minutes that I have seen in 2025. This is our problem. This is our opportunity. And these are the barriers. Get in there. Start making content every single day. Be obsessed with the fear or the opportunity that you're in a war for relevance with your customer base and your potential customer base. That's the game. That's the war. You're in it, whether you know it or not. And so get in the trenches and play. Hang out where the people are hanging out. Because the opportunity today is better and greater than it's ever been. You don't need 1 million followers. The platforms are promoting relevant creative over followers and an amount of people you have that are connected to you. This is unparalleled opportunity. Go play the game. See you on the internet.